Hello everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee, and this is my continuing mini-series on Best in Theme. Could have called this a few of my favorite themes, but no, that's not what the point of this list is. This is best games that kind of fit a theme. These themes come from the top 10 list that the A-Team did a little whiles back about our top 10 favorite themes in games. So today I'm covering my number 8 and my number 7. Is that right? 10, 9, yeah, 8 and 7. Yeah, because this is part 2 previously. On Best in Theme, I covered Vikings and alcohol production. I wish that I could have paired alcohol production and my number 8, which is food, but hey, we get to talk about this differently. We get to talk about it now. So I'm going to be going over food today, and then my number 7 is not as joy. It was the Industrial Revolution, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, food in the Industrial Revolution. So why don't we cut on over to food, and we'll go over some of my favorite games that I think really exude that theme. When people are looking for a game that's like, I want to play something food themed, oh my goodness, you can't do much better than New York Slice. New York Slice is such a cool game. It is a I Split You Choose, which is perfect for pie. The pieces of the game are pizza slices, and you the whole box is very thematic. I wonder if there's actually a picture of the box. The picture of the box itself is like a pizza box. It unfolds. It's very thin. So it's thematic more than sometimes you appreciate an awkward sized box, but it's really cool because that's a custom insert. You don't get the slices quite like that. But what happens is 11 slices make a pie, and then you are going to divvy that pie into a few different wedges based on the player count. So this is a picture of a 3-player count game. So you divide up that pie into 3 chunks, however you want, but you can't move the pieces. So just how the 11 come out or dealt out, I'm going to move these ones to the side, this one's over there, and then everybody, starting with the player on my left, is going to be able to pick a chunk of it, and then when it comes back to me, I get the last one. And then also you get these specials, which are these little special scoring or special ability tokens that you have to put onto one of those chunks. This is such a great, I shouldn't call them chunks when we're talking about food, onto one of those conglomerates of pizza slices. Conglomerates, that's the word that people used to talk about, pizza slices. So I think this game is fantastic. It's very fun. And when people want to play something that's just like food and familiar, everybody understands pizza. Everybody understands that you want the best slices, and so pepperoni is the best one, and then even anchovy lovers understand that. And very few people like anchovies, so there's negative points at the end of the game. It's silly fun. I really like it. But moving on, Sushi Go Party. This is one of the most played games in our household because you can play this with children. You can play this with up to 8 people. There's a pretty decent 2-player mode to it, but if you're going to be playing a card drafting game, I mean, you'd probably just play something different besides a card drafting game if you're looking to play a 2-player game. But man, this game is fantastic. It comes with an okay insert, but the idea here is basically that you're going to have. Oh, I like how they did that. I'm going to use my insert that way. I'll maybe just. That's really smart. Instead of doing. Where's the picture of the other one? Like normally you have to put them in. Why are they putting them in diagonally? Anyway, this is an adventure down Board Game Geek pictures. Here you go. So anyway, this is normally what you do. You have a bunch of different things in there. So you create a mix of a few appetizers, which type of roll, which type of thing. You put that all together, and you create your deck of cards that you're going to be drafting from. You pick one card from the set, pass the rest along. You get a new set of cards, pick a card, pass them along, and you're just trying to get the best type of sushi. Sushi Go Party is particularly awesome because it's got a central scoring board, whereas the original one didn't, which is fine because the original Sushi Go is just a small little tin. But man, Sushi Go Party is fantastic. I play this one a lot. One of my favorite themes, even amongst food, sushi. Moving along, we got Chocolate Factory. This one's more about the manufacturing side of it. Maybe I should have put this a little bit later, but also, holy cow! The pieces in this game are so cool. You are running a factory. You have a little conveyor belt, which is so awesome. You're actually going to see this come up, this particular game come up again, where you're running pieces through your conveyor belt, and then you have different machines in your conveyor belt, which are going to turn, raw cocoa into processed chocolate, and then take processed chocolate and turn it into bars, and then you can put special different color wrappers and make it fancier. And so depending on how refined and upgraded each chocolate is by the time it comes out, you can sell it and fulfill different types of contracts. Oh my gosh, Chocolate Factory is so good, and I don't see people talk about it, and they should, because it's both a fantastic food game, but I'm also going to talk about it when I cover one of my other favorite themes here in a little bit. Moving along, Mamma Mia. People know Uwe Rosenberg for games like Agricola, Caverna, Feast for Odin, and stuff, but the dude has made so many great little card games. I played Bonanza for the first time. That one's about beans, so it's not on this list. But Mamma Mia is about pizza, so it's on this list. This is a card counting game. You play these cards of different ingredients into a deck in the middle of the table. What is that? Okay, sorry. I got to find a better picture. Here we go. So you just play these different ingredients into the middle of the table, and at some point when you think there's enough ingredients, enough mix of ingredients, you'll play a recipe card. This recipe calls for 4 olives and 1 mushroom. Terrible pizza, by the way, right? And then people keep playing ingredients, and then at some point someone says, I bet there's 5 pepperonis and 1 of the, pineapples. So they play out, that's a pizza right there. They play out that recipe card. So you just go through until everybody's done, and then you flip over that deck and you set all the ingredients, and if people can make the recipes that they set out at certain intervals into the deck, they take those ingredients out. But if they, and so you're just trying to kind of card count. It's a weird game to explain and to conceptualize, but when you play it, it's a lot of fun. If you've not tried it, it's a neat little game to hunt down. Going back to the manufacturing side of things, Cupcake Empire. This is a great little game. This is, from the cover, I assume a lot of people passed on it because you get an impression about this game. It seems, I don't know, it's not a game that's going to grasp a lot of people who want to play a nice medium weight, thinky Euro game with this really fun dice manipulation and contract fulfillment type of thing. It doesn't look like that. It almost looks like a mass market game that you would get at Target. And it looks, the cover is kind of deceptive, but the game itself, I think, has a really neat little dice manipulation system. 6s are beneficial, but they don't actually activate any of the action spots. And so then you're trying to use these actions, you're trying to amass them so that you can fulfill contracts out onto the middle of the board, which I think is just, it's a neat little underrated game. I don't hear enough people talk about it. I think that you should check it out if you get a chance to play it at a convention, or if someone owns it, say, hey, Chris recommended that one. By the way, you should say that about everything in your life. Chris recommends that. Gingerbread House. Sticking with sweets here. Gingerbread House is a Phil Walker Harding game. This is by Lookout Spiel, and so they worked together on Barren Park, and they did Llama Land. Llama Land is kind of like if you mixed Barren Park and this game here, Gingerbread House. Gingerbread House it's so cool. You are stacking different gingerbread cookies onto your player board here, and you're getting the benefit of whatever colors you grab the cookies, icing cookies, of the stuff that you cover up, but you get extra bonuses if you cover up 2 of the same color with the same domino, and they're little domino tiles, they're 2-sided. There's a couple of bonus actions, getting staircases and whatnot, and you're trying to complete different types of objectives, like trade in a certain number of different color cookies to recruit these fantasy people. Certainly not to eat them. You're not an evil witch living in the gingerbread house. I actually thought from the name Gingerbread House this was a Christmas game. And I thought, oh cool, a good Christmas game. Oh, it's about witches eating fantasy characters, I think. Anyway, but you are trying to complete those objectives, but you're also trying to complete other objectives. You play with the advanced mode, where you want to have your house be a certain height, or have complete a certain number of floors and stuff. There's a decent amount going on in this very approachable game, and it has a great theme. It really does. A game with a disgusting theme is point salad. Nobody likes salad. I'm just kidding. Salad's fine. This is a game where you're trying to set collect. Very simple idea where you draft cards. You take cards from the middle of the table. The ones on the bottom here, this is someone made a dog version of it, I guess. Let me just find a better picture. But anyway, the basic idea is that you have cards out in the middle of the table that are either vegetables or scoring conditions. And you can grab some of the vegetables, or you can grab a scoring condition on your turn, and the next person goes. Lightning fast turns, and you're just trying to make combos that of different ingredients that will score for the recipes you have or for the scoring cards. Really fun. But some scoring cards are going to give you a ton of points for onions and negative points for peppers. And you're like, oh no, I already have a few peppers. Should I get that one? I'll net more points for the onions I have, but I'll lose some for peppers. Maybe I can grab a different card. It's neat. It works so well. All right, so anyway, those are some of my favorite food games. Those are ones that I recommend that people use when you want to kind of dive into that theme. But my next theme one is it's more dry for sure, very much drier. It's the Industrial Revolution. This is I'm going to, as I go through my games here that I think fit this theme really well. I'm going to clarify really quick between the first Industrial Revolution, Eli Whitney cotton gin type thing, and the second Industrial Revolution, which is more so the 1800s, late 1700s into the 1800s. And so with that, I'm going to be starting off with, whoops, forgot to move to the next page. I'm going to be starting off with Brass. Brass Birmingham is just one of the best games I think I've ever played. It really is. The original Brass Lancashire is also fantastic. Both of them fit this theme really well because you are magnates trying to take advantage. Look at that guy. Look at him. He's a magnate. And so you're just trying to take advantage of of the fact that industry is booming and you can make a profit off of it, even at the expense of other people's well-beings. Who cares, right? As long as you can fulfill really great contracts. Those are 3D printed train pieces. But, oh man, this is just one of my favorite games. Absolutely. This is just one of the best games I think he's ever made. Very tight, works really well. Brass Birmingham, especially with two people, all the way up to 4 players. And I will play any player count because it's really satisfying of an experience with any player count. I don't always say that about my heavy Euro games, but woof. Anyway, moving on. Furnace. Furnace is very much a similar theme to Brass. The cover even kind of has that magnate in a top hat type look, but this is a much shorter game. It has a cool little auction action selection mashup here, where the person who puts out the biggest disc, the biggest number disc, will get a card, but any players who put smaller discs out there get a benefit shown on the top of the card times the number on the disc, 1, 2, or 3, if they lose that. And so it's a mix between an auction, but also it drives your actions. And then as you get cards, you can use them to convert resources into other resources and convert them into upgrades or convert them into points. And I like Furnace a lot. Moving on, Coal Baron. This is a fantastic worker placement game. I don't think it's in print anymore, which is a bummer. You can find Coal Baron, the great card game. That is, for some reason, still in print. Probably cheaper to make a card game, right? Like to actually physically print it. I like Coal Baron. I have not tried the card game because I'm almost afraid to, because I like this original so much. I don't want to be let down by the card version. And there's that idiotic reservation in me that's like, but what if I like the card version more? I want to like the original one. Don't ask me why, but I would like to try the card version at some point. But man, it's hard because Coal Baron has a few things that are going for it really cool, right? You've got this here. This is an elevator shaft, a mine shaft that you have to go down, and then you can get different types of things. So the yellow coal at the top level is easier to get, and then the brown, then the gray, then the black. The further down you go, the more action points you have to spend to move the elevator shaft down and up to actually collect the coal and bring it back up. Contract fulfillment and everything. Right, great, right? Awesome. But, oh man, I like that little elevator shaft mechanism. You actually slide your elevator piece in there. But what I think makes this game work so well is that there's a worker placement board here in the middle, and paper money, poker chips, right? But if you want to take an action space, and you really want to use an action space that someone already has used, you have to put more workers out there. You have like 20 workers or something. I'm trying to remember the exact number. You have a lot. And so someone takes a spot with 1 worker. Well, I'm going to spend 2 to boot them out of that spot because I want to take that spot. Someone else is like, well, I'll spend 3 to go to that spot. And you're like, well, I really would like to do it again, but 4 workers? We'll see, right? Great bump out. Great bump out mechanism. Really cool worker placement. I like Coal Baron a lot. I really need to play it again. Moving along, Barrage. So a lot of this has been kind of like second Industrial Revolution. Barrage is also, you know, you could argue maybe this is the latter end. You know, this is the end of what you might call the Industrial Revolution, or maybe a later one. But this is about Barrage. If you're not familiar, if you're quite American like I am, Barrage is a word for dam, and I didn't know that. So when I heard that Simone Luciani was coming and Tommaso Battista was coming out with a game called Barrage, I was expecting like a war game. But anyway, this is a game about hydroelectricity, and you're trying to build dams out onto this board and redirect water, get energy from it. But it can be a bit mean. Not as mean as I was expecting, or I've only played in slightly nicer games of it or something like that. Because you can redirect water away from other people's dams, and then there's nothing they can do about that. But you know, a lot of water will trickle through here, so you can't redirect all the water, and so then people will, you know, there's ways to get your dams producing electricity, but it's a very interactive game. If you don't like that, even though this is a great worker placement game, like I said, I like this theme, but it can be a bit unforgiving at times, and so it treads that line. Moving along, Anno 1800, very much about industry booming and growing. The whole game is basically like a gigantic, not a flow chart, not quite a tech tree, but it's kind of a mix of that where, whoops, let's go back to the pictures. What you're trying to do is you're trying to create these different types of industries in your board here. Once you have pig industry and once you have metalworking industry, then you can make tin cans of food, preserved food. You know what I mean? So everything basically kind of leads to being able to get more stuff. More open avenues of new industries that you can build on your board. It's really satisfying. It's one of the best trade mechanisms I've ever seen in a game. I could talk about this one for a long time, but I won't because it's really good. Lastly, the last one here for my Industrial Revolution section is going to be Nippon. This is by What's Your Game. What's Your Game is a company that I like their stuff. I sometimes wish that their look was a little bit better, but you know, I can't argue too much. You're trying to industrialize Japan, and so railroads and shipping and stuff is being built up here, and it has a really unique action selection color system where you want to kind of have different colors of workers, but sometimes you might end up with a lot of the same color, and so it's very thinky. There's a lot going on, but it is a very satisfying game as I play it. And the more I've played it on Board Game Arena, and then even more I've played it there, my estimation of this game has gone up. I put this later because it doesn't feel quite as thematic. It feels more abstract with a lot of the stuff that I'm doing, where some of the earlier games are a bit more interactive, and maybe that's just because that's kind of how I perceive the Industrial Revolution as being not just about the industry, but also about kind of cutthroat business growth and working against each other, but also synergizing and working beneficially with one another amongst your competition. So I think that's why I put some of those earlier ones earlier, and I put a game like Nippon later, because I like the game tremendously, but also it doesn't give me that tit for tat kind of a feel. So anyway, that's my numbers 8 and 7, Food and the Industrial Revolution. Come back, join me later. I'm going to be going through 3 more of these videos, going through the last of my themes. So until next time, my name is Chris Yee. Thanks for coming by the Dice Tower. Have yourselves a great day.